Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, Wendy Sellers here. Welcome back. We are here with Jim Boswell, and we are talking about the lifelong fulfillment in action and really getting into the nitty-gritty of how to take charge of your life and your career so that a company doesn't do that for you, right, Jim?
Yes, ma'am. Exactly. So we just talked about Management 2.0, the old industrial type of management technology. Well, now we're in an information age and a knowledge-based employment environment. That's very different. It really reinforces intrinsic values. The whole motivation is about teamwork. A lot of it is creative. It encourages autonomy and creative thinking and self-determinism. And in fact, it reduces the level of direct management quite a bit. In fact, direct management might be a negative in that case because, it's a little too much oversight for that. And as we mentioned earlier, 74% or so of the workforce is doing this now in the United States. In the worldwide, it's not quite at that level, but in the US, it really is. So how do you do this and set yourself up? Because I think most of the people we're talking to would want to say, I want to be my authentic self and integrate with the work environment and get the most out of it, both for the work and for myself. Because when the work is good and it wins and does well, I win. So how do we do that? Number one is you need to know who you are. Well, how do I find that out? Well, you got to take a personality profile. You can have a gut feeling about who you are and how you act and how you interface with people, but until you reduce it to some factual and objective advice, self-generated, and not responding to duty, your acculturation, or anything else, you really don't quite understand. You have an idea, but you need it in black and white. So you take a personality profile. Now you can map, particularly with Myers-Briggs and some of those, you can actually map your profile into what's a suggested list of things that people of my character, in my drives, like to do with their employment. Do I want to be a director? Do I want to be a writer? Do I want to, be an artist? It helps you decide that. So it doesn't give you an absolute, but it gives you a range of employment opportunities that make sense for the way you think, the way you operate. I see a hand.
That's my hand. I just wanted to kind of interrupt here and say, I love personality assessments. I love Myers-Briggs. I'm actually certified in DISC. And I do want to remind everybody that, yes, it can absolutely help you could choose a career. It's not always absolute, right? Because we grow and we learn. We're human beings and things like that. But, there's a lot of statistics out there of saying, hey, if the company does work on personality assessments with the employee, and I don't know, having interacting conversations with that employee, that you might actually be able to help choose career paths together. With that said, JC, you have some statistics?
A study by the Society for Human Resource Management found that 95% of organizations implementing personality assessments reported improved employee engagement and satisfaction, underscoring the value of aligned personal development tools with career planning. Back to you.
Yeah, back to you, Jim.
Well, okay, so we've got our personality profile. We've got what we think are a number of occupations that might make some sense. Well, now we need to say is we need to know something about those occupations. So what do? We go take a look at information at the U.S. government level. We look at professional associations that are wrapped around the kind of employment you're looking at. And we find out, okay, so how do they pay? What kind of benefits do they do? Is it really a motivation 3.0 kind of environment? Would it be amenable to my skill sets and those sort of things? And then, in fact, you might want to actually talk to some people if you decide it's of real interest. And you can find those people like through professional associations, people that you might know by referral in the company already, to say, okay, so what's it like? What's your day like? How does your work environment work for you? How do you feel about it? So you have to spend some time thinking about that. Guidance counselors try to help you.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing is you need to go tell them what you need, what you want to know. You have to ask them. They're not going to fix this for you because they don't know. They don't know you. You have to distill that to make it a question and an action item for a guidance counselor to just blossom, because they'll help you out like crazy.
Right.
Because you know what you need.
Yeah, so many people, I think, believe that, the guidance counselor, or career coach, whatever, they're just going to tell me what to do. And it's like, no, it needs to be an interactive two-way conversation. And you need to learn when to say, no, that's not the direction I want to go, or, tell me more. So we still are in charge of our own career, even if we have a career coach breathing down our throat, right?
Very much so. Very much so. And while you're doing this, you're right on the edge of a thing that I need to emphasize. And that is, we go through human life, and we, at any stage, we really don't know what we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what education is all about. And education in the personal development space is essential to capitalize on it in a timely fashion so that you get the results you want in the short term, but you're building for results in the long term as well. It doesn't happen overnight. We, as human beings, the reason we're successful is we keep learning, and then we take that learning and do things with it. That's why we're on this planet.
Exactly.
And if you don't get that message and don't do continuous education throughout your life, it's going to fail you.
Yeah, which brings us to what we're going to talk about next, which is the power of self-determination, right? So you're set that purposely, talking about, making sure we're educating ourselves all the time. And education can be done by a podcast, a YouTube video, reading a book, going to school, whatever it might be. But in our next episode, folks, in episode 3, we're going to cover with Jim the power of self-determination in your life of work. I do want to mention a course also that is coming up on March 10th on Aurora Training Advantage, is setting limits and managing expectations, how to say no without ever saying no. And I think that lines up exactly what we were just talking about, is maybe saying no to even a manager who's trying to force you into a certain position. So with that said, folks, we will be right back. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.